Ho ho ho! This is my attempt at a somewhat Christmassy set. It is somehow already the lead up to Christmas, and I don't remember what happened in 2021. But lots of people are starting to think about what gifts they want to get people, if they're doing gifts at all. Personally, I find gift giving very stressful. It is the lowest of my love languages. But this year, my family are doing a Secret Santa £10 charity shop or homemade item, and I am in. That's the kind of gift giving that I find very stress-free. I like that a lot. But as expected, I have a sex nerdy twist on all of this Christmas capitalism. I have made a lot of videos about sex toys, big fan of sex toys, and I've even unboxed some sex toy advent calendars. But this video is all about the etiquette around giving somebody a sex toy for Christmas. I mean, it really is the gift that keeps on giving, but there's some do's and don'ts that we need to go over first. There's some things to consider, making sure it's appropriate and consensual, and also when to just do not buy that person a sex toy. It's not going to end well. If you are going to be buying any sex toys this Christmas, I have got you covered with a bunch of discount links. These are affiliate links and you can check them out in the description. You're welcome. Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, all of that good stuff. So to help you with your sex toy shopping, here are some do's and don'ts of buying sex toys as Christmas gifts. First up, we're talking about buying sex toys for your partner. Do make sure you have consent. As we know, consent is the bare minimum for all sexual activity, and that includes buying sex toys because it can feel quite personal and intimate. Just like you don't want to surprise your partner with a finger up the bum when they are not expecting it, receiving a sex toy out of the blue can also feel pretty weird and uncomfortable. Unless you are very sure that it will be well received, do not put a beautifully wrapped 8-inch dildo under the tree for your partner to unwrap come Christmas morning in front of their parents. If you do want to buy a sex toy for your partner, then sex and sex toys should be something that you regularly discuss in your relationship. If you're not sure what kind of sex toy that they would like and you don't feel comfortable asking them or bringing it up in conversation, then maybe you're not ready to be gift-giving sex toys to each other. But if you've never had conversations about sex toys with your partner, but you want to, here are some ways that you can bring it up. First off, you don't have to make a whole PowerPoint presentation about why you want to introduce a vibrator into the bedroom, but you do want to give some thought to it, although now that I think about it, please somebody make that PowerPoint presentation because that would be hilarious. Try bringing it up and talking about it when you're already in a flirty, sexy, fun, and relaxed mood because that can help the conversation go smoother. Maybe throw your partner a compliment as well, like, I really like it when you do this. How do you feel about doing this as well? Or you could do the classic, my favorite, which is where you bring up something else like, oh, I was listening to this podcast episode, or I saw this YouTube video and they were talking about sex toys and it just got me thinking, like, is that something you've ever thought about? Like, what do you think about sex toys? And even once you've had these conversations, you might want to give it a bit of time before you start exchanging sex toy gifts. It's not like we had one conversation about sex toys, check, now we can gift each other all of the sex toys in the world. Depending on how those conversations go will determine what actions you take next. You don't want to end up buying a gift that doesn't actually feel like a gift and instead comes across as telling your partner that maybe you're not fully satisfied with your sex life or as pressure to do a certain sex act. Speaking of which, don't buy a sex toy that puts pressure on your partner. It's really important to make sure you're not buying a gift for your partner that to them feels like a massive expectation to do a certain sex act. For example, if you've never discussed anal sex before and you buy your partner a butt plug, no matter how cute it is, it might come across as pressure to do some anal play. As much as I love to-do lists in general, you don't want to be buying a sex toy for your partner that feels like adding something to the sex to-do list. Unless your kink is the combo of sex and to-do lists, then maybe that is for you. It's not a good idea to buy your partner a sex toy as a hint that you want to try something new. Those things are better off talked about with your partner first to make sure that you're on the same page. Unfortunately, buying a sex toy is never a substitute for having those potentially awkward conversations about things you want to do in the bedroom. Those conversations are hard, but awkwardness is not a bad thing. And having those conversations first is always a good thing, no matter how awkward and painful they may feel in the moment. You could potentially buy a sex toy that is for your partner to use on you, like a spanking paddle if you enjoy being spanked, but it's still a good idea to gauge if spanking you with a spanking paddle is something that they would be interested in. It may sound like a lot of these conversations are super serious, but they can absolutely be playful, and they should be playful if that's the kind of vibe you like in your sex life. I personally love a playful vibe in my sex life. Next up, do buy gift cards. Lots of independent sex toy shops offer gift cards, and so that is also a great way to shop local and independently. If you think a gift card is a slightly boring present because it's a bit underwhelming to maybe open under the tree, then sex educator Bex Caputo recommends getting the gift card for a sex shop and also one of your favorite restaurants, so you can create like a date night where you go for a meal together and then you can also go sex toy shopping together. You could also get super cute and make like handmade coupons for a date night, massage, movie night, whatever quality time between you and your partner looks like, and then you go shopping for the toy together as well. I think as a whole package that would be a really cute Christmas present date idea. Lots of us do our sex toy shopping online because of that sweet, discreet shipping, but also going into a sex toy shop can be a really fun experience, especially with your partner, and then it also means that they can browse and they can pick what they want, and who knows what wonderful, sexy conversations being in a sex toy shop will spark. If you want to get something physical to go along with the gift card, you could always get some sexy accessories like lube or a massage candle, or maybe even a blindfold if you're buying a gift card for some kink gear. Obviously, for some people, a blindfold will be as far into BDSM as they are comfortable going. No vanilla shaming here. But if a blindfold is something that is really comfortable for you and your partner, then it could be a symbol for what's to come, and also helps you out in not spending loads of money on like an electricity play kit and then finding out that your partner is not into that. And yes, electricity play is a thing. Not for me, thank you. My kink's not your kink, but no, what is it? Your kink's not my kink, but your kink is okay. Why do I say that in the same tone as having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card? And just as a reminder, we live in a very erotic phobic society, but there is absolutely nothing shameful about buying sex toys. It can feel very intimate to go and buy a sex toy to use together, and you can make sure that it's something that you're both into. Which leads us nicely on to, don't assume you know what sex toys work for everyone. Obviously, if you're sleeping with someone, you might have a pretty good idea of what they are into. I mean, you definitely should. If you know they're really into pressure on their A-spot, you could buy a toy that is designed specifically for some A-spot stimulation. Or you could buy your partner a toy that you've heard them specifically mention that they want to try out. Last year, Dan actually got me a sex toy for Christmas because it was one that I was looking up online, and I just showed him as like, hey, have you seen this? This is kind of cool. And it was before Christmas, and so he was like, do you want me to get you that for Christmas? And I was like, oh, yes, please. Maybe your partner's favorite vibrator recently stopped working. Or maybe, like me, they lost the charging cord to their favorite clit sucker toy. And so, I either need another one of those or I need another very specific charging cable. It's important to remember that everybody's tastes are different, and also everybody's bodies are different. And we often hear things like, everyone with a vulva needs a rabbit toy or a clit sucker toy, or this toy will guarantee you an orgasm. But that's actually just really harmful because everybody is different, and if you hear all of this hype around a certain kind of toy and then it doesn't work for you, that can feel really shitty. But do you know what? There is nothing wrong with you. That toy is just not for you, and that is fine. So again, it just comes back to the importance of having these conversations with your partner so you know what may or may not work for their body, but also what they're interested in, because you don't want to give your partner a toy that ends up making them feel broken because it just happens to not really work for them. Obviously, there'll be some situations where you get a toy that both you and your partner are very excited about trying, but it just happens to not really work for you guys, and that is also fine. But there is one thing that does work for everyone. Do buy body safe sex toys. Please. This is your PSA from Santa. If you're watching this video so far and you're thinking, oh God, this sounds all really complicated, I'll just buy a cheap sex toy and therefore I haven't invested too much if it happens to not work for my partner. But I just want to tell you that that's a really bad idea. There are lots of really high quality sex toys out there if you are on a small budget, but often the super cheap toys means that you are sacrificing safety for price. Body safe toys are ones that are non-porous and non-toxic. Porous toys can absorb things and can't be cleaned fully, and so that's why you want a non-porous toy, because they won't harbor any bacteria or yeast. And toxic toys contain things like phthalates, which I never know if I'm pronouncing properly. Phthalates. Phthalates? Phthalates. Phthalates. Or they contain irritants like chlorine, and non-toxic sex toys are made from materials that won't give you a rash or a chemical burn. That is kind of like the bare minimum of what we want here. There's links in the description to a sex toy reviewer, Dangerous Lily, who has written a lot about toxic sex toys if you want to read more about it. But in general, stick to toys that are made of silicone, hard ABS plastic, glass, stainless steel, and aluminium. Wood and ceramic toys can also be body safe if they are treated with non-toxic glazes and sealants. And make sure you're buying sex toys from trusted retailers, as there's a lot of unregulated stuff out there, and you want to make sure you're buying the body safe stuff. Now, after that quick safety PSA, we are on to don't feel threatened by your partner wanting to use sex toys. So we talked about why you shouldn't buy a gift for your partner that feels like pressure to do something that maybe they're not comfortable with, or something that you haven't talked about together before, but it is totally valid to want to bring sex toys into the bedroom. Because of toxic masculinity culture, there is this idea that cis men are going to feel replaced by a sex toy, especially a phallic shaped one. But I'm here to tell you that sex toys are not a threat to your relationship or your sex life or your penis. It is completely healthy and normal to want to enjoy solo sex as well as partnered sex when you're in a relationship, and to even want to include sex toys in your solo sex. It's also healthy and normal to want to include sex toys in your partnered sex, and there are lots of exciting and fun ways to enjoy them together. A common one in cis-het relationships is using a vibrator for clitoral stimulation during penis and vagina penetration, and a 2017 study found that almost twice as many cis women can orgasm from clitoral stimulation during penetration than penetration alone. Not that orgasm is like the holy grail, the be all and end all of sex, but for some people it is important. So there you have it. You should be in a relationship where your pleasure is important to your partner, and also their pleasure is important to you, and that you can discuss your desires and your needs. But again, buying a sex toy is not a substitute for having these conversations. So maybe try and have these conversations before you introduce sex toys. For example, if you've never had an orgasm before, maybe that's something that you want to talk about properly with your partner, rather than not saying anything at all and then just buying a vibrator for them to use on you and hoping for the best. Back to Christmas gifts more specifically, do make sure that they don't open it in front of family. If you are buying sex toys as a gift, it could be worth adding a label that gives a little warning or a little hint about what's inside if you and your partner aren't going to be opening presents, just the two of you. Obviously, there is nothing shameful about sex or about sex toys, but this is just about respecting your own boundaries and respecting other people's boundaries too. So now I want to talk about buying sex toys for people that you are not sleeping with. Yes, it can be okay to buy your friend a sex toy. Obviously, some of these do's and don'ts apply to whoever you're buying a sex toy for, like consent and making sure it is body safe. But here's some specific things to think about when buying a sex toy for somebody you're not having sex with. Don't buy a sex toy for a friend who you've never discussed sex with before. Some friends talk about sex together all the time. Other friends, it is just not a topic that comes up, and that's fine. Is sex something that you comfortably talk about with your friend? Are sex toys something that you comfortably talk about together? How much do you know about their sex life, about their interests, what they like, what they don't like? And is buying a sex toy for them for Christmas something that they would be comfortable with? Maybe you have sex toy wish lists that you can share with each other, so you know you're going to get them something that they want. Do buy sex related gifts. So even if your relationships with other people aren't quite on the level where you're going to be buying each other sex toys, you can still get some sex related stuff. Think of all of the different sex toy accessories possibilities. You've got lube, you've got sex toy cleaner, you've got the little satin bags that toys come in, because some toys don't come in them. And maybe you've got a friend who has a lot of toys, but not all of them have their own bag. I've also made 2 videos buying products from sex positive small businesses and artists, so maybe your friend wants a titty pot or some artwork of some cute butts. There are so many possibilities. Also, there is the whole wonderful world of sex books. You could get your friend a non-fiction sex book so they could learn more about sexuality and their bodies, or you could get them some lovely erotica if you know that that is something that they're into and want to spice up their solo sex sessions a bit. And here's an important one. Don't buy sex toys for a work secret Santa. Just don't do it. In a work context, it's just inappropriate and unprofessional, and you don't have their consent, and you might be then putting them in a position that invites comments from other people about their sex life, which they might not be comfortable with. So there we have it, the do's and don'ts of buying sex toys as Christmas gifts. Maybe I've overthought this, but also, do I want everybody else to be overthinking this? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Let me know in the comments, have you ever bought a sex toy for a partner or for a friend? Are you planning on buying one this year? I really want to hear your sexy shopping stories. Don't forget, there's affiliate links in the description with discounts for you. You are welcome. And thank you so much to my patrons who support me making all of this sex nerdy content. Ho, 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 bitches. Merry Christmas. Whatever you get under the tree, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, I hope that you have a lovely time. Ho, 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 bitches. That just came out of my mouth. Hannah's gone on the naughty list. Okay, bye.